Good evening, and welcome back to the One Celtic Fans View. And yes, this evening I do have a nice little cup of tea to get me through the live. It's a bit cold. I made it about 10 minutes ago. And there is a lot of Celtic news kicking around this evening that I'd like to talk about. The cracks are starting to appear. Let's get some of the comments. And first of all, Paul Emery says, hail, hail. San Francisco says he'll Barcelona. Nice to see you this evening. Also, evening trips. It's really cold. Well, unless you're Baz enjoying the sun and the heat. Well, it's not sunny and hot here today. It's cloudy. Cloudy is for the first time. It's the first November that I've been here, and we haven't had rain. We haven't had rain in the whole of November. So this is usually the time that we get rain, and it's not happening. Paul Emery says, hi, crack starting to appear, says Chill Pill. Tam Macca's in the house, and tune out to St. Paul and those. Talking about that. Right, I want to talk about a few things this evening, and took a lot of notes. I watched the Brendan Rodgers, don't need to listen to myself. I watched the Brendan Rodgers interview and the Alistair Johnston interview, and it was interesting. We'll talk about them in a minute, but I'll get that rid of that Pope Francis one. The latest news coming out of Portugal is that Estoril would be open to do business with Celtic. However, there is a report that Celtic haven't made an approach as yet. It was reported in a couple of papers earlier in the week, and Brendan Rodgers is keen to do a deal for the wide player who can feature at both left back and left wing. Abola says that the transfer fees discussed would be in the region around about £4 million. And they need to get as much as they can. They're looking at £4 million because they have a 50% sell-on clause with Benfica. We know how Benfica likes to have a sell-on clause with their players. The fact that he's played 16 appearances this season so far, he's scored 2 goals and he's had 3 more assists. It looks like he might be brought in to give Greg Taylor a bit of a run for his money. Right, first of all, I'll talk about Alistair Johnston. Before we talk about Brendan Rodgers, I'll try to get rid of that banner. We'll talk about Alistair Johnston, because Alistair Johnston, his interview was up first on Celtic TV. And Alistair Johnston says that, talking about the Champions League, he was asked about the Champions League and lots of other things. He said that the players will grow. They'll grow. Even he will grow as a player when they look back at the videos and they see how certain players played and the movement they make. And he said, it's just half a second. He said half a second can make all the difference in that game. He says that all the players want to learn. He says it's a lot different. He says when you're playing at home, when you're playing in the Scottish League, you're playing against teams that are playing a 4-5-1 formation, and you can have 75% of the ball. And we've been talking about that in the last couple of weeks in this channel specifically, and it's interesting that the players are struggling to cope with the dynamics of going and having 75% possession and then going to and playing against teams that play a 4-5-1 that sit back for 80 minutes of the game. And he said, but people are saying that we were unlucky in the Champions League. Alistair Johnston went on to say that you create your own luck. And then he was asked about his injury from earlier on this season when he had his little ankle operation. And he said that his ankle was still not 100%. Still not 100% with his ankle. So that was Alistair Johnston. It was good to get his thoughts on several things. He was asked about the Pope, as was Brendan Rodgers. Brendan Rodgers, we'll get through everything that Brendan Rodgers, because I did take a lot of notes on this one. Brendan Rodgers was asked the first question. He was asked about how was the Pope? How was the Pope? And you're like, Jesus, really? Let's just get down to business. And then he was asked about the game, obviously. And it's like, come on, the game, we've got a game on Sunday. Get talking about the game. Stop. The game is done and past. He's spoken about it. And why people feel the need today to talk about it again is just beyond me. Let's move on. It's done. It's dusted. We know what the club needs to do. The club knows what they need to do, and the players do also. Anyway, Brendan Rodgers did say, he says, look, He wants to build a team that has power and unpredictability. That's Brendan Rodgers' exact words. He wants to have a team that has power and unpredictability. Now, Brendan Rodgers' team just now doesn't have unpredictability. Brendan Rodgers' team just now just passes side to side. It's going to be interesting because Brendan Rodgers then went on to say, he said, look, the quality was not added in the summer. The quality was not added in the summer. He was then asked about when he came in the summer. And Brendan Rodgers said, when he looked at the team from last season, and even with the players that left, he felt that we needed 4 quality players brought in to the club. He was then asked about the players that did come in, and he said that, look, a lot of these players were earmarked to come into Celtic before I arrived. They're not Brendan Rodgers players. The majority of the 9 players that came in last summer are not. They're not Brendan. I'm reading Alistair Johnston comments. That's what I was going to talk about. They're not Brendan Rodgers players, and that's why he's he is the way he is. And then he reaffirmed the fact that we need to bring in quality. Quality has not been adhered to. It's not, the quality has not been added, he said. The quality was not added. He felt that we needed 4 quality players to come into the club last summer, and he felt that he's not got them. He also kind of hinted about the fact that some of the players that were brought in obviously weren't his. And he was talking about what people need to do for next season and what he needs to do as a manager. And they're talking about the club also. He said they are now setting out to set their stall out and win the league. That's the most important thing. They want to win the league. And then Brendan Rodgers says, he's talking about, will the players improve for next season? He says the one thing about playing the competition the way that it will be next season in the Champions League, he said that the players will improve, but get this, the club will improve from a financial point of view. Fuck me. That's what Brendan Rodgers said today. He said the club will improve financially. From a financial point of view, the club will improve next year due to the change in the Champions League. Unbelievable. But he does want to add quality. He does want to add quality. So Brendan Rodgers did say that. He feels that we were 4 players short and he didn't get those 4 players in. Is it the fact that we wanted to go for the Brøndby striker? We didn't get the Brøndby striker. Who else did he want to go for that we didn't get last summer? So it's going to be an interesting transfer window, especially the fact that Brendan Rodgers feels that we need a good few players in. Now, you would have seen that Scott Brown had on his Instagram. There's a lot of people talking about the fact that Scott Brown was playing golf somewhere, but he'd really been down at Tottenham to visit Ange Postecoglou. Yeah, he was down there. And people that don't have Instagram, I'll just go on it just now. And this is what Bruni put on his Instagram. So you just see there Bruni's Instagram. So for people that don't have Instagram, great few days down at Spurs. Bruni. Interesting. That's an interesting one. He's obviously been down there watching Ange do some training, which is kind of weird because it was mostly the backroom staff at Celtic that done the training at Celtic. Anyway, Brownie's been down there for a couple of days, and that will make headlines tomorrow. Hook's icon makes trip to Spurs training ground to see how Postecoglou works. Anyway, so nothing stories in the past. But Brendan Rodgers has been hinting that he missed out on some quality additions during the summer transfer window. We now need to look at it, and it's like, well, he took the job, and he knew that the players coming in weren't his signings, which is quite remarkable. But he has admitted that the players that were brought in were earmarked before I came in. Players were earmarked before he came in. He did obviously sign those players off, but they were obviously Ange Postecoglou players, but it's interesting. And maybe that's why one of the reasons that Ange left, because he felt the fact that the squad wasn't going to be good enough for what he wanted to do. Anyway, let's jump back to some of the comments and see what you're saying about the fact that Brendan Rodgers said that he didn't buy the players in that came in the summer, and it was an interesting one. He seems to be throwing the ball straight back at the boardroom the past couple of days, and he definitely seems to be throwing it right back at Peter Lawwell and co. He's like, here's your ball, have it back. That doesn't mean that he's going to leave, but it's like, well, this is the type of players that you wanted to come into the club, and they're not good enough. At the end of the day, they're not good enough. Alistair Johnston was asked about the quality of the players, and Alistair Johnston says, look, we all want to grow as players. We all want to improve. Even I can improve as a player, says Alistair Johnston, which was interesting. Let's get to some of the comments. Right. Going to go with Thielen. Right. We'll go to the good one first. The Tigers, so it's fit. We're heading in the right direction. We need height. We do that because, let's face it, we're terrible at corners. We're going to go back to this one. Glasgow Celtic champions. Players are being sickened out the door. They are, and that goes back to Alistair Johnston talking about the fact he said, look, the players are struggling. He says when it comes to playing at home, he said we're playing against teams that are 4-5-1 and we have 75% possession. He says to then switch from that kind of playing week in, week out to try and up your game to players that aren't going to play like that. There's going to be little quick balls over the top of you and everything. And he said, we're struggling with that. We're struggling to manage to cope. He said, we need to get to the level where we play at the Champions League tempo week in, week out. And that ultimately is where Brendan Rodgers wants to take them. And that's why Brendan Rodgers said exact words were, I want power and unpredictability in the team. Fantastic comment, that, because that really, when I get a lot of people moaning about Brendan ball and moaning about the side-to-side passing, it's obviously not the way that Brendan sees Celtic playing. So he's definitely thrown the ball straight back at Lawwell and co and said, get me the better players that I want to come into Celtic. You've sat there and you've seen what has happened in the Champions League. It is not good enough. It would have been as well saying. Chilwell says Alistair Johnston has been poor this season. All talk. He did say that after his operation, he said his ankle was still not 100%. He did say that, Chilwell. So he said that the club has been managing his return from that operation. He thought it'd be a nice and easy operation and he'd be back to 100% quicker. He said he's not back at 100%, and that is why the club have been managing his game time and stuff. So anyway, Finney says you can see that Alistair Johnston felt kind of hurt by the way that Brendan Rodgers keeps on saying need for quality. It's like a slap in the face for some of them in the squad. I feel a bit of a divide beginning at Celtic. Nah, not at all. I think it's just a bit of a reality check between the manager and him throwing it back at the board now, saying, look, we only needed. Every single Celtic fan knew last season we only needed about 4 quality players to come in. We knew we needed a goalkeeper. We knew we needed a left back. We knew we needed somebody in midfield to give us that little bit of oomph, a sitting midfielder or something. Or an attacking midfielder with a bit of something. And then we needed a striker. We all knew we needed the 4 players. So we can't really disagree with Brendan. We all seen it at the end of last season. His ankle, at least he's not having a baby. It's Carmack has been poor. Yeah, we're not going to say that. He has been poor. Stephen, I'm glad that you're okay. Rodgers having a dig, good on him. Exactly. And hats off to Rodgers. Finally taking a stand with this board and the inability to spend on decent players to improve us in the Champions League. We all knew that last summer. I'll drink my tea before it gets cold. Anyway, Smelly Glove says, hell. Lanky, so we all know that the players will be leaving. I said a few myself. I still think Kyogo, Maeda and CZV will be off as well. Do you think they'll not be off at this window? Not a chance, Lanky. In the summer, maybe. In the summer, but not Not a chance they'll be off at the next window. Not a chance. Brendan Rodgers needs to apologise for shaking hands with a communist pope. Hey, jeez. That's the communist pope. All right, there we go. That one, you got your... Same old, same old. Hate to say, but I believe it when I see it. Brendan Rodgers gets his player in. Yeah, we'll wait and see. Even the Pope had seen the Green Brigade back to Lowell. Yep, he did that. I've said for months now, who really cares says, I've said for months now, we should have put on hold until Brendan came in. Yeah, it was unbelievable the way that we're bringing players in. It just shows. Baz, I did say that Brendan only got Lewis Palma and Bernardo in. The rest were lined up for Ange. If they were lined up for Ange, what does that say about the way that the squad was going? Because let's face it, Ange Postecoglou did say at the end of the season, at the end of the Scottish Cup final, he said, look, you're asking me about my future. You need to realise that some of these players will be leaving the club this summer. And that was Postecoglou himself on the last day that he ever had anything to do with Celtic. So what did he know? And that made him sort of say, look, I've got a chance at this down south thing. I'm going to grab it with two hands. Yeah. I wonder what the excuse will be on February the 1st when we don't get the quality. The quality. I think Brendan did say, he said, look, we do not need the numbers. So one thing that Brendan did say today, he said, we do not need the numbers, we need quality. And I think that if the club do not start bringing in the type of quality that we brought in under Ange Postecoglou's first season, when we brought in the likes of Hatate and everyone, we need to bring players back in at that. We need to be spending 5-6 million a player. And there's no doubt about it to get in the type of player we're looking for. There's no need now for us to go and get players that is prospects. Because prospect is not what we need. Definitely not what we need. That's what I mean. But yeah, chill, Paul. We've seen that coming. We've seen it coming. And it's Lawwell written all over again. And it's funny how this thing just seems to kick off. A year into Lawwell being back, everything was rosy in the garden for the last couple of years, especially when it came to transfers and transfer windows. We got our business done quick, we got our business done early, and we got in the players that the manager wanted. Maybe that's one of the reasons that the manager did leave last summer. There's more than Alistair Johnston that's just been poor this season. Yep. Yeah, it's that. Let's get Tierney back. I don't think that would be the best one. And will he really come back to Celtic? There's a lot of media outlets in Scotland saying that he would love to come back, but the Spanish team want him, and I think if they want him, they'll get him. The system has changed. It's gone out of this group, I think. Yep. I'm going to jump through some of that. Stop your garbage. He's on crazy money. Talking about Kieran Tierney. Yeah, if you ask me, Kieran Tierney will stay in Spain. Forcing defenders into mistakes. That's how teams score 70% of their goals last season. Yes, and this team doesn't seem to be able to do it. So what has changed? What has changed? What has changed? What has changed? We have the new manager. Anyway, it's good news that coming out of Portugal, that the fact that Celtic might be able to get this guy for 4 million. What does it say about Alexandro Bernabe? Bernabe was brought in for good money. He hasn't been able to displace Greg Taylor. So bringing in someone that is 6 foot, could play left back and he could play on the wing also and play in midfield. It'll be interesting to see if Celtic do go for him. And let's face it, we do need a bit of height and a bit of pace. It was interesting. It was a really interesting one in the interview with Brendan today where he said we needed 4 quality players. And the players were earmarked before I came into the club. That's him throwing the gauntlet down. That is definitely Brendan Rodgers throwing the gauntlet down. Penny pinching Pedro. Let's get that one. Tierney is never fit for long enough. Yeah, that's it. The rumour Katie is coming home after this season. Loan ends. That's only a rumour. I mean, he's coming home. He's coming home. Is he going to come back to Scotland and play for Celtic? When people talk about, look how often, right, this is going, I'm going to flip it on its head a bit, right? Because we slate about players that come back and the players that are injured. Look at how many times Kieran Tierney's been injured since he went to Arsenal. Okay, he's been injured quite a bit. There's not been one. He's not had really one full season where he hasn't had an injury of some sort. Far too injury prone. He's at the stage of his career where, yeah, he could come home and he could make a name for himself and he could come back to Celtic and be all singing and dandy. He does have a good relationship with the manager, but he's on crazy money. He's on crazy money. So I'm just going to take it as rumours. I'd play Bernabe and left mid, says El Camino. El Camino. There you go. Rumour has the moon is made of cheese. I'm going to give you that one. Another utility player that can only get used when. GCO. Anyway, right, let's get to some more Celtic news this evening. Obviously, Brendan Rodgers has been hinting that he's stressed that the squad needs a number of upgrades after Celtic were dumped out of the Champions League on Tuesday to Lazio, despite spending. I mean, this is saying that we spent 19 million in the last transfer one. I don't think we spent as much as 19 million. I thought it was only about 15. Let's face it, we brought a lot of prospects that aren't going to get a game for a good few years. Speaking before the game against St Johnstone on Sunday, what do you think the score will be for St Johnstone on Sunday? Celtic St Johnstone. Craig Levine's back at St Johnstone. Well, not back there, but he's back into the Scottish football. It's always amazes me how Craig Levine can just wander back in. It says everything that you need to know. See the fact. I'm going to have a moan here. See the fact that a manager like Craig Levine, who once played absolutely no strikers in a Scotland game, and do you know what I mean? It's unbelievable how a manager of the likes of Craig Levine can walk straight back into Scottish football. And it says everything that is wrong with Scottish football. It is an old boys' club. They're reluctant to bring in young managers and give them a chance. And, you know, they do bring in young managers. Hibs tried it, but they change them every year. They give them half a season. And bringing Craig Levine, man, you know what I mean? He's past it, if you ask me. Completely past it. And he'll play really defensive. He's going to go into this game at the weekend and he's going to sit with five. He's going to sit with a 5 and a 4. You know that all day long. He's going to sit defensive as in. It's going to be another game where we've got 80% of possession. We're going to have them doing nothing for 80 minutes and then they'll try and have a go the last 10. It is everything that's wrong with Scottish football. And until it's addressed by the club owners, and the club owners want to have a little bit of ambition, until clubs that sit mid-table in the SPFL know that there's not a chance of them getting relegated because we go to a bigger league, go to an 18-team league, say, and it makes that gap just a little bit more between relegation and the middle of the table. Nothing will change in Scottish football. Clubs won't have a go. And anyway, what do you think the score will be? First up is Lanky. He's going with 3-0. Hard fought 2-0 on. You got to remember the last time that we kind of got a bit of a down in Europe, we came back, we played Aberdeen and we played fantastic. So I'm expecting us to do a big result. I think the players will feel that they have something to prove. Alistair Johnston said he was talking about the fans having their say online, and he's like, well, you know, I don't really look at stuff online, so the fans are entitled to have their say and, you know, have the mini meltdowns online, whatever. But he said it doesn't affect the players. We watch back the videos, we watch back the games. He watched the game 2 or 3 times to analyse how these really good players. And one thing he says when you play against someone like Griezmann, you watch the video back and you study him to see why he's worth hundreds of thousands of pounds a week. Do you know, why is he worth hundreds of thousands of pounds? Why has he done this in the game? Why has he done that? And then he analyzes that and said, right, it is just that. It is just, you know, it's that millisecond type thing. He said, we need to bring that into the Scottish game. We need to play even though we try and play that like that at a European level, we need to then come back into the Scottish League and keep on playing at that level for us to get anywhere in Europe. Michael says it's going to be a 1-1 draw. I'll just leave that there just while I finish my tea. And it's cold. It's probably cold because you're doing it for a 1-1 draw, Michael Ross. Lorna has brought some sanity back to it. She's going for 3-0. Michael's come back and he said, with 90% possession, we'll still draw 1-1. 2-0 for us, says James. A win will do, says Joseph. If Turnbull goes to Milan for 7 million, Lanky's come up with his team. He's saying Hart, Alistair Johnston, Carter, Vickers, Scales, Taylor, Calmack, Matt O'Reilly, Turnbull, Palmer, Kyogo, Tillo. There you go. Marco will get a run. Marco will get a run out in team. That's his team for Sunday. That's his team for Sunday. I'm going to put a little star on that so we can get that back up before the end. Marty Boy says he'll play 5-5-0. He will. You know that. You know you could probably go out and put a £2 bet on that to play. That's how he will line up Craig Levein. He's come out and said that it's going to be his biggest test. I wasn't even aware that he was back at St Johnstone, to be honest. That's how much I pay to the rest of the Scottish teams. Paul Emery says 3-1 for Sunday. We're struggling to keep clean sheets. We are. And that's why it's going to be interesting to see if that bid from Anderlecht does come in for Liam Scales in the next transfer window. Will Celtic sell him? Will Celtic sell him? 5 or 6. This is the day, says Patrick. 5 or 6. And they'll get the one. I think that there could be a shout in that. Michael says, if AC Milan pays 7 million, I'll fly to the moon. Hey, boom, boom. Fly to the moon. Come fly with me. Don't even sing, Baz. Who really cares says, I think Celtic will win the odd goal on Sunday. Levein will try and bore the team into a mistake, as per usual. Yes, that's the Craig Levein way. I still can't believe it that he's back in management. It's unbelievable. Unbelievable. Billy says 2-0 Celtic. More chance of Alec Baldwin being allowed in a shooting club than Turnbull. Oh, snipers on the list. Anyway, if Turnbull goes to Milan for 7 million with 6 months left in his contract, the board would have played a blinder. And Milan board actually blind. What's his name? Lanky says he spoke to many fans panicking now that we have started, we finished the end of the season. That's good. Yeah, I mean, we've had a good start. We tried to talk about this morning. Let's talk about a bit of positivity. We're 8 points clear at the top of the league. 8 points clear at the top of the league. We've had some really difficult games in the Champions League, harder than what we probably predicted and thought of. We're out of the cup. We've got one game left in Europe. The players are now completely focused on retaining the league. They want to retain the league because they know that to get into the Champions League next season, Alistair Johnston says, we know that we have to win the league. So they'll do everything possible. Now, when it comes to the Scottish way of playing, and you've got managers like Craig Levein that will probably set out 2 banks of 5 and then saying, come attack us, Celtic. And it's going to be on television, and you're just going, Jesus, come on, really? This guy got back into managers playing that. Tam will be happy with the 3 points. 1-0, obviously, but hope for more. I think it could be the game. Could be another game where we surprise everyone. And we come out of the box really fast and have some fast. And it'll be good to see if Marco Tillo starts. It'll be good to see what he can do. I think that's a good shout, Lanky, that Marco will start. I'm going to tell you why. Because it gives players, it gives the opposition something else to think about. They've never seen him play before. They don't know exactly how he plays. Will they just double up on him like they do all the Celtic wingers at the moment? More than likely, probably. And more than likely, I would suspect, because that's the way that we need to get down the width of the pitch. We need to get our wingers on the touchline and basically pelting down that side of the pitch. It's easy as that. Palm says, hail, hail, everyone. 1-0 and Turnbull goal from outside the box. Robert, go and stick a fiver. Stick a Jack Diver on that one, because I think that might be Jackson Irvine scores versus Hamburg. 2-0 to St. Pauli. I'm not even going to talk about St. Pauli. Not after the banners that they put up the last couple of weeks. 3-0, my man who predicted 6-0 against Aberdeen. Yep, you did. Stephen, you did that. Who really cares says, I've been arguing with a Celtic fan online all week. He's more than happy with the team, and the board didn't lack ambition. Nightmare. I've told you that. I told you who really cares. I've told you there's too many people that sit around the stadium who are more than happy with the way that the board have conducted themselves over the last couple of years. At financial point of view, you can't argue with the board, and you can't argue with fans like that. But it's all about wanting that something a little bit extra from Celtic, and it's the failure to do that. And look, when the manager turns around at a press conference today and said, look, when I looked at the team from last season, this is Brendan Rodgers' exact words. When I looked at the team from last season, I felt we needed 4 additions to the team to make the team better. Even with the 3 players that left, he still felt that we only needed the 4 players, 4 quality players added. And he wants the team. This is the important part. Brendan Rodgers says he wants a team with power and unpredictability. And he obviously feels that the players that we've got to now are too predictable in the way that they play. And it's sometimes hard to change that in a way that a player is. Graham Hardy says 5-1 to the Hoops. I think Mikey will get a run out. Do you think Mikey will get a run out? He still says that he has a lot to offer Celtic, so it'll be interesting to see if Mikey Johnston is offered a new contract. A lot of people say, look, he's done, he's had his time at Celtic, get him out the door. The big one is Turnbull. Turnbull, get all the money you can from M Scammers AC Milan for Turnbull. I think so. If we get any money, I'm still saying it'll be in the region of about 500,000. He will not go to AC Milan. Right? Let's get that out there. Let's put that out. There's not a chance. If Turnbull goes to AC Milan, right? What will I do? I'll donate. He's never going. He's never going. He will not go to AC Milan. So let's just stop that there. Stop that there. It's a kick in the let's pick ourselves back up. Let's pick ourselves back, and we'll talk about exactly what we're going to do in the league, and the fact that I think it's going to be a good season. We're still going to win the league, and the players are focused on that, which is important. Waiting on 3 teams to run up. They say 7 million. It's 5 on a paper plane. 5 on a paper plane. It's now time to fully focus on the league and wrap up for February and play some youth players. I think it'll be over by Easter, as normal. Normal service will have resumed, and we'll look at Michael Ross. You're getting that one just there. I think it'll be OBE, over by Easter, and we won't have nothing to worry about. Real Madrid are looking at McCarthy for 11 million. A bid looks likely in January. Oh God! Oh, I wish I was drinking here. What's this? 4 million, more like lira. Yep, more like lira. Well said about the positive, Baz. Let's get down to work, lads. Yeah, we need to get back to the positivity about Celtic. We're in a fantastic place. When you look at the injuries that we've had, right? Brendan Rodgers is saying the fact that if you look at the injuries that we've had, we've not had our best players. We've not had our best players this whole Champions League campaign. We started at the beginning of the season with basically a backline of Phillips, Nat Phillips, who hadn't played since January, and a player that was on his way out the door. A player that was on his way out the door, and Liam Scales, and he was on his way to Aberdeen, and it was like, adios, amigo. It was he thought he was going out the door, but due to the injuries that we had, we have to remember this. It's like, just take a little step back. The Champions League hasn't been what we wanted, hasn't been. It's definitely not been what we wanted. Even Brendan Rodgers thought that 7 points was achievable when he was asked at the beginning of the season. He thought 7 points was achievable from this group. So did I. I thought it was the first time in years. I mean, I got overly excited the day of the draw, and I thought, do you know, I think it's a group that we could actually do something in. It wasn't, but we move on. We move on. We've got the league to now think about. We've got a really important month ahead of us. That starts this weekend, and we've only got one thing that's going to distract us in this month, and that's going to be the little game to Feyenoord at home. It'll be fantastic if we can get anything from the Feyenoord game. I think that we can, if we have a couple of players back. It'll be interesting to see what happens with that game. Will the managers just give the younger guys in the team a chance, or will they put out the strongest players possible and say, look, or will they just keep on going, look, we need quality, we need quality, we need quality? It's a business at the end of the day. It's not a club to them. If I was talking about the board, yep. Hail from North London. Where is everyone watching the video from this evening, live from this evening? Tell me in the comments. Since we've had a lot of your scores in, everyone thinks it's going to be an easy Celtic win. I think it's going to be a hard game, but I'm going to go for 2-0 at the weekend. And I think Kyogo will get back on the score sheet finally. When was the last time Kyogo scored? It feels like it was ages ago. You're getting this one up. I'm just going to leave that there for a second. Stuart Ramsey's back in the house. Says, evening. Let's jump through some of these. We need 4 quality players, about 5-6 million each, with about 200 appearances behind them and a decent league. That would be lovely. Smell the glove, you're pretty much spot on. I think Brendan Rodgers reiterated the fact that he wants players that has played at a certain level. Alistair Johnston said it. Alistair Johnston said, he said, look, when you look at us as a team, Alistair Johnston said, when you look at us compared to other teams that have played that play in the Champions League on a regular basis, they have played a lot more games at this level in the Champions League. When you look at Celtic and the age of the players, the age of the squad, and the amount of games they've played in the Champions League, Alistair Johnston says, there then lies the problem. There then lies the issue. So Alistair Johnston says, each year that these players play in the Champions League, they'll gain more and more experience. Then, on the other hand, just the day before the game, you had Liam Scales saying, look, you take every moment of these in because you don't know how many games of this as you're going to play. So that was interesting, which says to me there might be something in this Anderlecht bid for Scales, because the players always get a heads up way before anything. Way before anything. Anyway, let's get back to some of the comments. Michael Ross. I'm not even putting that one up. Yes, it will be Palmer, it will be OBE, it will be over by Easter, as far as I'm concerned. And hopefully it is. Hopefully it is. It's over by Easter and it's over before the switch of the top 6, which is something that we need to get rid of. I really hope that Brendan Rodgers focused on youth. There's definitely a few gems in that B team. Yeah, but the gems in the B team have been put out on loan. Just look at our loan players that have been put on loan for the B team, and you'll see that they're not going to get a chance this season. So there we go. There we go about that. Martin says, I think we'll really kick on. We'll put the Rangers to the sword. Starting early, can I give you a shout when I'm done? Stuart, 7 points. 7 points in the Champions League, says Pam, crying faces. Yeah, that was the target that Brendan Rodgers set before we even played in the Champions League. And it's a target that I thought was easily achievable. Win 2 home games and get 1 draw away from home. And that was it. It was that easy on paper. But when it came to it, it just wasn't achievable, which is unfortunate. But we move on. Tom had forgotten about McCarthy. He's literally doing sitting on. Yes, James McCarthy. James McCarthy. He's probably warmer than my cup of tea just now. And I don't think anyone has ever seen him in training. A lot of you are saying that it's absolutely freezing back home. It was cold here today. I will say that it was cold here today, and it'll be interesting. I'm going to go down to one of the pubs on Sunday to watch the game. Don't watch, go to the games. The board's pocket needs to happen. Some motherboys are all complaining about the cold. Reality check, says Michael. Reality check. Even was needed. Even if we finish top of our group, we would lose to the final in penalties. That'll be interesting to see what keeper that we do bring in. Because let's face it, we do need a goalkeeper. I love the pattern on this channel, says Paul. Yes, the comment section is where it is all at. There's a lot of people who don't like the comment section, but I love it. It's absolute banter. Yep, let's get to some more of the comments. I've said for the last 18 months that I'll be happy with these players. Yeah, yep. Like, do you think we're going to get him? Kelly? Do you think that he's going to come from Liverpool? Do you think Liverpool are going to let him go? That would be interesting. It'd be fantastic if we got him, but it's like how much money are Liverpool looking for him? There then lies the problem. Snow on its way. Snow on its way. Queen's Park. It's not scary. Get him. Cantwell subbed because he never. No, but no. Oh my geez, right. I'm going to see what Celtic news is about because Celtic face ticking Jeremy Frimpong windfall as the clock has an expiry date on Mega Money Leverkusen release revealed. God, the Daily Record are a bit late with that. I reported that about 2 days ago, didn't I? But the fact that Jeremy Frimpong has a release clause of 30 or not, the Daily Record are just giving that out as a headline tonight. Woo! Gotta love the mainstream media in Scotland. Brendan Rodgers says private audience with the Pope was a life achievement for him. Yeah, I did see that. He was asked about that. People privilege. The people are going to go on about that. I mean, I thought for the fact that he was asked about the very first question that Brendan Rodgers was asked in the press conference today. How was the visit to the Pope? And then he was asked about the game. And it's like, we've been there. Come on, let's talk about the future. Let's talk about the future. Right, I'm going to jump through a lot of your comments. And McCarthy, McCarthy is the invisible thief. Yes. Does he actually really exist? Does he really exist? Like, that's oh, Jesus. Anyway, right. The Warsaw keeper is only 23, says Glasgow Celtic champions. Boric was a beast. Loved him. Yeah, Pam. We need another keeper like Arthur Boric. We definitely need a keeper of the stature of Arthur Boric. The holy goalie was absolutely brilliant at his time at Celtic. Now I'm looking through a lot of the Celtic sites just now. Craig Levine, hardest test ever at St Johnstone. What about Scott Brown? Well, let's talk about Brownie for a minute. Let's talk about Brownie because he put up on his Instagram that he was down at Spurs for a couple of days. He's obviously looking to get back into management. So, as all players and people that are trying to become managers in Scott Brown's position, they tend to go and visit managers that they kind of, well, they don't know. He didn't really know Ange Postecoglou. They never worked together, but he's obviously said to him, look, can I come down and watch how you train and just to pick up some snippets from you to help improve my career? It's happened. Brendan Rodgers has spoke about doing that with players also. It'd be great. He said a great few days down at Spurs. And then he shared a snap taken on the way to the Hotspur Way training ground on his Instagram. So that was interesting that he did that. So I wonder, nah, nothing will happen with that. He's just went down just to see them training and that's it. I wouldn't look into it. But obviously the Scottish media will look into it a lot more. Anyway, right, let's get back to some of the comments. Bruni was showing Spurs players what winners' medals look like. And I remember the ball, free kick, Herb McCarthy got injured, helping jeez, that's a good one. That's a good one, right? We have been going on for 43 minutes. The Celtic news is there's nothing really. Let me just check this one site just to see. Celtic confident in extra quality. Transfer red carpet. Celtic Rodgers would be welcomed. Sports. Let's give me 2 seconds. I'll just check this site. They're just on about the article from Ebola about the Portuguese player. It looks like this Portuguese player. There's a lot of publications now talking about this, so there has to be some fuel within the fire, as they say. Therefore, a 4.6 million euros move to Celtic for the 22-year-old would put him close to a record transfer for the team. But it's all hypothetical. That's because Ebola have learned that no formal proposal has arrived yet for the player, who has 2 goals, 3 assists in 16 games in all competitions. It's no smoke without fire, as they say, but it could be. When you look at the players that Celtic have been named with, Jota to Spurs. Yeah, I've seen that as well, but I'm not even going to talk about that. But Jota, Jota is waiting on a phone call from Jota's waiting on a phone call from Ange, but I can't. He's going to go. I think he'll end up at Newcastle. Personally, I think he'll end up at Newcastle. Newcastle's got the kind of money that they would freely spend. I think the owner of Spurs. Can you see him taking somebody at 200 grand a week on loan? Anyway, lazy journalism. Yeah, talk about the Daily Record picking up a story from 2 days ago. Anyway, that's absolutely nuts. I can't believe that they just did that. It's bonkers. It's like, really, do you not go and I think see some of the questions that Brendan Rodgers has asked. It's just mind-boggling. It's completely mind-boggling. Anyway, another broadcast shake-up. Scottish football. Let's just see this one. Another broadcast of share about Celtic Scottish football. I was just talking about the Vidplay withdrawal from the UK market. Oh, it'll be interesting. The money in Scottish football is absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Absolutely terrible. Right, let's get to some. There's quotes regarding the left back. Yeah, the Brendan tell did Brendan tell the Pope he was barred? Oh my goodness! If Newcastle qualify this Champions League next year, they'll get Jota. And Newcastle owns the team that Jota plays for, and then we'll break. Yeah, that's why I reckon that Jota, if it's going to go anywhere, they'll go to Newcastle because they've got the stupid money. They've got the stupid money, and the quicker that the English Premier League implodes with all the financial rules that have been about, it'll be sweet days. But anyway, let's get to Martin. He says that the board and Brendan will have something up their sleeve for January. I don't think it's the board. I think Brendan's completely putting the gauntlet. He's not just thrown the gauntlet down to the club. He's given the ball and he's given them the ball back. And he said, "Look, I told you when we came in, we needed 4 quality players." And it's interesting that he's now talking about that. He's talking about the fact that when he came in last summer, when you looked at the team for last season, and every single one of us said the exact same thing. We only need 4 players to improve us if we keep everyone together. If we keep everyone together. There was a few players that obviously left, but the fact that he still thinks that we're 4 players short is just unbelievable. Unbelievable. Martin says, love the card reader by his quality picture. Yep, and it's good to have the community tab and a little bit of banter on that and a little bit of a light heartedness, because let's face it, it can get a little bit depressing watching some of these videos and it's just everyone complaining and moaning, and I just tried to bring a little bit of happiness back to us since it was the 1st of December today, and let's get the positivity back. Positivity about where the club is, ahead at the top of the league, 8 points in front. We've got a little bit of a goal difference. It's not all that bad. It isn't all that bad. Or as Charlie Nicholas says, throw the goblet down. Fantastic. Your community posts are top notch. Pam, they are. And I'm going to get back to it. I went through a phase where I was like really posting on the community tab. I'm going to get back to that. So there will be some hilarity. Some people don't like them because sometimes I have a little dig at that mob along the road. Oh, there was one I was going to post. Where is it? I've actually got it set up and I didn't. I'll actually like this one. There's a new Christmas jumper coming out. And then I might just should I put this? Tell me in the comment section, because it's only the viewers that are live that are going to see this. There's not going to be many people that will watch this video to the end. So give me a big yes if we should put this on the community tab. Diving home for Christmas. Should we stick this on the community tab? Give me a yes in the comments. Diving home for Christmas. That will really wind them up, because let's face it, the Sevconians won't watch this video until the end. There's not a chance that they're going to watch 49 minutes worth. So yeah, we'll stick that up as soon as this video is finished. I will stick this up on the community tab. saying that there's we've got a we've got a new bit of, a new bit of merchandise that's going out. I could actually do that. I'm going to. Should I do that and put that on the Hoops merch site? Tell me in the comments. Should we do a T-shirt and get that on the Hoops merch site? And we'll sell it for 16.97. We should sell it for 16.90. No, I would never do that. I would never do that. We'll say... No, I'm not putting it on the Hoops merch site. Bugger that. I'm only joking. Anyway, let's move on. Let's move on. We'll move on. We'll put it up on the community tab, and that is it. We'll put it up on the community tab, and that's it. Just purely for the banter. Purely for the banter. I'll buy it from Lorna. Oh, cool. You got it. Sell it for 2012. Right, that's it. We're getting. Oh, can you do a jumper? Can we do a jumper? Give me 2 seconds. I'll get that. Sorry, let's see if we can do. Let's do. If we can get this one. Oh, just ah! Oh, lanky, right. Oh my God. Yes, Pam, we can ship to America. It can be shipped to America. Yeah, I've got you can it can be done in America. Buy it for $1. Right, we'll get that done. And we're diving home for Christmas. Oh my God. Right. We'll get that. We'll sell it for 2012. And we'll have a discount code on it, liquidation, which will take it down to 1967. No, it'll take it down to less than that. We'll get it down as cheap as we can. Purely for the banter, right? Purely for the banter. Buy a book off, buy one, get one free. Not a chance. Oh, Jesus. A 4-leaf clover on my chest. James, same to me. I would never wear anything like that. But as a um as a banter thing. Actually, we need a bit some cheering up. We need a bit we need a bit cheering up. And anyway, you know, they're never going to watch the video at the end. There's not many people that are going to watch this video to the end anyway. So I would take one to my personal right. I'll get this. We have to get that. We have to get that. Oh, I'm going to do it. I'm going to do it. This is going to be so funny. Oh my goodness! Even if we sell one or two, it'll be brilliant. Just for. Oh, maybe we could change that. 12 million, just like Flo. Diving home for Christmas. No, I'll change it. Diving home, Flo Christmas. No, I will keep it as it is. I'll order mine this week. I'll let me see if we can, I'll make sure that the delivery dates we can get it done and get it delivered in the next, because it is the 1st of December. I'll get that up tomorrow morning, and then yeah, that would just purely for the laugh, purely for the laugh. And there will be a discount code of liquidation. Liquidation will be the discount code, right? On that note, Todd Bantwell. Oh my goodness, she's going to be like, no need to pay tax. No, there'll be no tax on it. I'll get that on a sticker. No tax added on the inside, right? So on the inside and the label on the back, there'll be a bit that will say no tax added or no tax paid. No tax paid. No tax paid. Right, they'll do that. Oh my god, where did this video go to? Where did this video go to tonight? Utter madness, but I absolutely love it. Absolutely love it. Right. I'm going to call it quits because I am absolutely starving. And buy one, get 10 free. Not income tax on VAT. I'll get this. I'll definitely have a label on the back. It'll say no tax paid. No tax paid. Right. You have absolutely cheered me up tonight. My even teas everyone bought, my tea's freezing cold. I know I'm going to try and finish that. Anyway, brilliant. Cheers tonight. Thank you to everyone that's watched the video tonight. Make sure that you give buy one and get Craig one right to get you a cameo video. Oh my goodness, this has been the best laugh. The best laugh. Spam snideboard driving home for Christmas. Right. I'm going to get off this because I'm going to get that t-shirt made up tonight, and I'm going to see if I can get it on the website for tomorrow morning, and then I'll put it up on the community tab, and I'll put a picture up on the community tab as well. So on that note, have a great night, troops. It's been absolutely amazing as always. It's a brilliant bunch that we have on this. I can't stop laughing. My cheeks are actually so laughing. It's been it's been comedy gold tonight. Brilliant. Anyway, on that note, have a fantastic night, Celtic fans all around the world.